Hey, how's it going everyone? My name is Zach, and I wanted to start a series kinda like this for a while now, where I discuss the finer points of how to deal with some of the spooky shit this game has to offer. I want to help inspire confidence in everyone that even the biggest monsters can get knocked on their asses. And for this video, I'm talking about Brave Hector, one of only 2 good armor units in the whole game. This walking piece of anime bullshit is the bane of many Aether Race players, and Arena players, and Abyssal AI units. Really, nobody wants to fight him. He is literally unbeatable. Except not really. Today, we're gonna kick him right in his Hector's and discuss both his counters and general counterplay that can help you make Hector wish he never won CYL in the first place. So immediately, you could probably see 2 weaknesses that Hector is going to have. First, it's just letting Hector player face into you. His weapon's effect is the strongest on his enemy phase, not yours. So if he's not running Bolt Fighter, and even if he is sometimes, he isn't going to be as strong as him trying to get you to attack him. Secondly, there's no follow-up. That skill destroys Hector's weapon. No double, no stopping you from doubling. You just play the game fair and square. So now that I've told you that, you can beat Hector. Congrats, the video's over. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. Let's step back a second here. That's not entirely the case. Even if we acknowledge his weapon's immediate flaws and how the weapon is worded, that alone might not be enough to stop him. It just might slow him down. That's not always enough. So, thinking about beating Hector, you gotta know more than just the straight weakness. It's a little more complicated than that. We're gonna start by looking at 3 sets that Hector will run that can throw a wrench into your plans, depending on what you're using to beat him. Well, there's a 4th set, but we're not going to talk about that one. First, let's mention Special Fighter with Bonfire. That is a 1-hit KO set meant to take a hit and kill you immediately. Sometimes Hector doesn't even need to get his free double. He can just take you out a 1-shot. This is a really scary one to deal with because even a lot of units who could kill him with, like, say, NFU are going to die in 1 hit before that second hit that matters can get off. So be careful with this one. He'll usually run a seal such as Mirror Stance or Mystic Boost. The former for more attack, the latter for actual healing since he doesn't have any with Bonfire. The second set, and this is the one that I like to run, is again running Special Fighter, this time running Soul and the Quick Riposte seal. So this is my personal favorite because it gives you very consistent sustain, which is really good to have on a tank, especially one as powerful as Hector, and the Quick Riposte effect from the seal stacks with the one from his weapon, meaning you'll be able to double people through skills like Impact that will deny your follow-up. You won't get the 1-shots, but with a double that is basically guaranteed, you're going to be killing most units anyway. The third one's a bit different. You'll see it a lot on people who don't have Special Fighter fodder, but you also see it on people using Hector as more of a tech choice or a counter pick rather than as a full carry. And that's the Bolt Fighter set, which can run any special from Bonfire or Soul or Gale Force if you're feeling spicy. This set is for those moments when you really want to get in deep, kill someone with Bolt, then end, turn, and tank. You won't see these often, but it's a really powerful set that can help people get in, kill one threatening unit, and just sit there while all the other enemies die into you. Now that we know our vectors, what do? Well, let's start with the one thing that can be universally applied to pretty much any Vector you'll fight. Find out how to kill them in one hit. Just kill them in one hit, idiot. Who can one-shot them? I don't know, green mages. Okay, I know saying green beats blue sounds like a pretty, well, duh answer. But despite that color triangle, it's rarer to find good greens to smack him than you think. Some green mages will barely do damage to him or die in one hit anyway, so you have to be a bit smarter about it. The first unit that will come to mind for many people will probably be Nino, because everyone loves Nino, and everyone has Nino. And you're right, a Nino with full buffs can probably do it, but that's not a very consistent unit that can do it. She needs buffs on AR defense, which is pretty hard to do. Buffing a unit on ARD just leaves yourself open to panic, which is a detriment to your team. If you want to use Nino, you'd have to be smart by either making it so she's a rally trap and can be danced, or is a restore target, but with the right support, she can do it. You could also consider someone like Olwen, the green one, because she has Blade Jump as well. A lot of infantry pulse teams with the right units can knock this dude flat. Maybe not one shot, but two shot, easy. Sacrifice a unit, another one comes in, kills him, easy. Sometimes you don't need to worry about all your units living. Sometimes you'll just get Vector, leave a team without their main carry, and they just kind of have to find a way to push forward and take a loss with one unit or surrender right there because they lost their biggest unit. But I get it, you want to kill him in one hit because that's funny. And do I have the unit for you? One of the most underrated units in this whole game. No one is talking about Merrick. They gave this guy 2 pre-charge at turn 1, and Wodow on his home, he's got high defense. So even if he doesn't one-shot, he can even potentially survive Vector. Lol can maximize that damage and get the one-shot more easily, or any of you can help him survive and double Vector himself without getting doubled anyway. In general, don't just think of Merrick as the anti-Vector unit. Think of him as one of the best nukes you can get for cheap. Highly recommend looking into this guy if you have Vector problems or you just have low damage nukes in general that you want to get rid of. Similarly, there's Sonya. She's more expensive than Merrick because she's a 5-star exclusive, but she has slightly more attack, slightly more speed, and is more res heavy than def heavy. Now that's a bad thing for Vector, however, she has better matchups versus certain mages or mage tanks, and is, again, slightly stronger and slightly faster. She's a good unit. Who else can take out Vector? Well, there are some pretty good expensive options that actually do a pretty good job. Let's start with Lewin. Lewin needs NFU to do this, but he's so powerful that if he just attacks into Vector with pre-charge, he's done. It's insane. Lewin is one of the most consistent beaters of Vector, and you don't even need a lot of merges. You only need 1 merge, or 2 if you're feeling a little fancy. There's also young Merrick. Like his OG counterpart, he's very good. The main difference between him and Zoji is that his weapon has NFU. That means he has access to the Wind Sweep NFU combo. On Merrick, it's especially good because of the color matchup and how stupid, fast, and strong he is. But other units such as Selena, the new Ishtar Refine, or any dagger that's using the Courtly Fan and Wind Sweep combo might not be able to kill him with some of those, but they can do a lot of damage, and a lot of damage means you're getting closer to beating him. The point is that beating Vector just through damage alone is a team effort. You're not going to always have to sit, like, yeah, sure, you can just use your Lewin, use plus whatever, and he's got Super Luna, and you can just one-shot Vector every time, but that's not always going to work, because there's going to be different ways that Vector can counter it, or there's just going to be certain team comps and building layouts or support units that just stop Lewin from working the way he wants to. Continuing from when I mentioned NFU and Wind Sweep, it turns out not letting Vector hit you means he probably isn't going to kill you. Now, survivability against Vector. inflicting status on him, such as the flash, or guard, or whatever, and also splashing all of that onto his teammates. That's pretty good, especially because by not killing him but surviving, you've opened up the opportunity to be danced. When you're danced, that means you're going to attack his friends, or that means you're going to attack him again. This is where, of course, the dazzlers come in, staff units who just are stupid and annoying, fire sweepers, things like a fire sweep and double poison strike, bow cav. Those things will chip Hector over time, or let them get danced and hit his allies. And hitting his allies means you are killing units, and killing units means you are protecting your left. And that's the point of these defenses. In the end, it's not about winning. You have protected your defense. You have succeeded. So kill his friends. Also consider flash units who can stop you from counterattacking just by applying a funny little status. Kemph is actually pretty good. Not only is he just a good unit in general, but he can actually just smack Hector. He can suicide into Hector if he wanted to. And guess what? He's done his job. Hector can't counterattack. He's got a ton of splash damage, and his friends are fucked up too. That's when you bring in someone else who can come in, hit Hector even harder, hit his friends even harder. Rajhat can do the same thing, and she's also a green mage. Units that can survive Hector. It's like Kagero, for example, who can run NFU and has an insane damage reduction weapon. Can do so much for her team, even though she can't kill, because by surviving, she enables other units to come in and apply more pressure to Hector and his allies. The overall theme of trying to beat a Hector that's attacking your defense isn't always going to be, well, I can't one-shot him, what do I do? You need to have a team who can just throw their weight into each other and create this snowball effect that just puts so much pressure on your opponent that all they can do is sacrifice units or surrender. What's he gonna do? Jump in front of his allies? Oh, that's silly, right? Trying to beat Hector attacking your defense requires a little bit more fundamental understanding of how defense works to get the best advantage against him. When you find a Hector on AR defense, that's less of a problem generally. Running into armors on dev team isn't usually a scary thought. The worst you'll see is like a whale invested armor ball, in which case good fucking luck, asshole. But for a regular old Hector chilling on a team, don't be too afraid. He's not player control, he's AI control, meaning you can abuse his much worse player phase, and just in general, you don't have to worry about things like crazy supports inflating him with even more stats. Chip damage from things like the bolt tower that you might be running, or a bolt trap that for sure is on the enemy team, or even things like savage blow, taking care of like the healing tower first, can greatly weaken this dude so that he's much less of a problem. It is definitely a scary thought, where if you don't come prepared, you might be checkmated by him. That is something to think about, but just come prepared and take things carefully. Observe your map, determine the best way to disarm him, and don't be afraid to step on the trap and take his HP down to finish him off with someone else. If you're running a dedicated carry like a tank, you will probably outstat Hector just from your support. You should be able to deal with him much easier because he is not the carry, you are the carry. Your mythics can also whittle him down so that other units can take him out. If you're playing in the late season and you have Mila or Freya, then you should be in a really good spot. They can very easily tank hits from him, even bold fighter versions, weaken him and then finish him off with someone else. Or in the case of Freya, probably beat him outright. In Astra, Naga won't die if Hector doesn't have Bolt Fighter. Don't worry too much about seeing Hector on AR defense in general. He's rare, and he's not going to be as consistent as his offense brethren. Just have a good carry and maybe a good tank busting team with units like a Reinhardt or an Ophelia with her special charge and just AoE PvE the entire team. But don't be too afraid. It's the worst you're going to see on Hector on a defense team. It's not like there was, say, I don't know, a skill that lets him teleport in front of his allies to protect them from incoming damage. Wouldn't that be crazy? Alright, I think I need to briefly touch upon save skills right now. And the only thing I really can say is it's not easy to discuss them because they are pretty rare at the moment. You should be careful if you do see one. A far save Hector on an AR offense or an AR defense team to protect all his allies from incoming damage. If a Hector or far save attacks your defense, you're trying to snap the back line. That suddenly becomes a lot harder because the Hector is going to save his allies from damage. On a defense team where you're on the Hector, it can be really hard to snipe units and do strats like hit and run, or even like a Gale Force strat with someone like Lynja, just because Hector's going to come in and shut your units down, making it really hard to get in on teams sometimes. If you need to deal with a Hector on AR defense, your best strat is probably just to do the same thing for bolt towers or bolt traps and abuse those. Shipping him down will make it easy for you to snipe him when he tries to save his allies. For offense versions, I'm still working on that one right there. The savior skills in general might be better saved for another topic, for another day, just because they are still, again, new, and there's a lot to kind of think about, a lot that I'm personally testing myself. So gauging how potentially dangerous they are and how you can counterplay them is still up in the air, especially for me. So don't worry too much. Again, they're rare, so if you see one and you can't beat it, you get 5 ladders anyway, who cares? Don't stress too hard over it. For now, just worry about the normal Hectors that you can definitely beat. The most important takeaway from this isn't just how you can beat Hector. I mean, that's the title, the topic of the video, right? But that's not really the thing I want you to leave with. What you should be leaving with is that for a lot of people, Hector is like the gatekeeper. For most people, in fact, Hector has beaten me more than once. Even with in my opinion, my pretty good defense teams get smacked by Hector every now and then. He's a fundamental check. He's one of the best tanks in the game. If you want to beat most units in the game, aiming for the best tanks in the game is kind of a good start. He's a good checklist character, kind of like Bike, where as long as you can beat them, you probably have a ton of great matchups of units below them by telling you concepts that beat him as opposed to just, here's a strong unit you can throw at him, which, you know, I did too. Hopefully, I can help you determine what makes a good defense succeed, at least in ways that make sense, in ways that are more broad and encompassing of other units, as opposed to just, look at me, I usually, I kill Hector, I'm so good. At least I hope that's the takeaway from this. If not, might be. If you made it this far, I appreciate you checking out my video. I hope you took away something good from this. If you liked it, please like it. I'd really appreciate it. Comment, give me some criticism. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And hopefully I'll put out something like this in the future, maybe something different. If you hate me, make sure to leave a hate comment, but only after liking and subscribing, okay? Thanks, buddy. I'll see you next time.